Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Mass. We've got a turn 1 Aether Vial from Heather on Goblins versus Kyder on Cephalid Breakfast. What a crazy metagame that is developing at our webcam series. And I'm pretty pleased. I mean, it's kind of insane. Goblins, a significant portion of the meta. We've got Cephalid Breakfast. We had a Cephalid Mirror match this week. I mean, I didn't think I'd ever have that on the channel, I'm not going to lie. Cephalid Breakfast Mirror match to decide who goes on into the finals. Kyder actually undefeated at this point in the tournament, facing off against Heather. Will he sweep the table, or will prizes get spread out a little bit more with multiple people going X and 1? We do 100% payout at these events. Plus give away a bunch of bonus foils and promos. It's pretty great prizes, though a big part of it is just at random. So we're doing the random giveaways, but we're also doing payouts based off of your finish. So it's kind of got something for everybody. Aether Vial ticking up, and Rashad and Port going after Kyder's mana base. I can't quite tell that blown out card. I'm going to assume it's an Aether Vial. We'll see if it starts getting counters on it. It's the only permanent I can think of that he would have for 1 blue, or a Shuko. I suppose it could be a Shuko. I may have to get a set of headphones so I can actually hear the action. I'm not sure if I can get that working. Kind of just inferring from the video feed here. Probably pick up on more subtleties. A Wasteland going to be able to take out this Tundra. Brainstorm in response. Wasteland and Rashad and Port, core elements to the Goblin strategy, going after that mana base, slowing things down, and really relying on Aether Vial and Goblin Lackey. Lackey is just one of those cards that pushes the tribe over the top. You know, the ability there's a, oh, so it was a Shuko, and we've got a Aether Vial being put in. Goblin Crater Maker coming in end of turn, and that is, whew. I mean, pick your target. It can take out the Vial, it can take out a Shuko, it can take out a Nomadin Core. I mean, that is a real MVP in this matchup. He can do it all. Now, you don't want to be too greedy. You can end up in a situation where Crater Maker won't do anything. Now, if they have a Cephalid Illusionist and a Nomadin Core out, for example, you are not going to be able to break up the combo effectively with the Crater Makers. They can just respond to the Crater Maker activation. So Heather going to need to be judicious with the use of this Goblin. He's happy to die for the cause, but you got to make sure it's the right time. And of course, post-board, you've got Grand Abolisher to consider as well. That guy, whew, he is a mess. Though Goblins, I bet you, yeah, I'll have to take a look at how the text is written, but I'm pretty sure you can cycle Gem Palm Incinerator through a Grand Abolisher. Goblins might be Cephalid Breakfast's worst matchup. That's interesting. Like, it actually has answers to answers, like just like next level, next level, next level. Kyder's mana base greedier than some of the other builds. However, it may have more mana sources overall, which will alleviate some of the pressure from this Rashad Port, for example. We've got a seems like a draw in the land being played. I'm surprised this Rashad Port hasn't been activated. I'm not sure what to make of that. And at 3 mana. I'm guessing this is Recruiter of the Guard. It seems like there's a kind of a blowout spot in the middle of Kaider's playmat there. Things look nice and crisp to the side of it, but right in the middle there, a little difficult right where that Shuko just went. Goblin Matron during the end step. Grabbing a Goblin Chain Whirler. I mean, that is a fairly rude card versus a deck full of 1/1s. We're talking about Nomad and Core, Mother of Runes, of course the Cephalid Illusionist itself, Recruiter of the Guard. Holy cow. Goblin Chain Whirler just able to sit at the ready in hand here. That is pretty graphic. Now, Goblin Matron swinging largely undeterred by this Recruiter of the Guard. But worth noting that a Nomad Core can really start to change the dynamic of this board. And there it is. There's a Nomad. Swinging. 2 damage coming in. So this is like a super tense situation. It may not feel it, but even though Heather has 2 responses possible, if she just pops one off and then Kaider responds, like this could get really dicey. Oh, and that's a strong. That's pretty strong. Cycling Gem Palm Incinerator takes a lot of the pressure off. Shuko going to be much, much worse in this situation. Almost infinitely worse than a Nomad in Core, because you can't respond with equipping again. It's a sorcery speed effect. So Heather very much in the driver's seat here. A Narcomoeba comes down. And yeah, without a Nomad in Core on board, this is going to be much, much harder. I mean, maybe I'm not making a big enough deal. It's going to be literally impossible as long as that Goblin Crater Maker is on board and Heather has the mana to activate it. There is no way Kaider's going to win without using a Nomad in Core. The Shuko is simply not going to be fast enough. Equipping as a sorcery will not stand up to either Goblin Crater Maker or the Goblin Chain Whirler. And now a Munitions Expert coming down. This is some unfortunate synergy, I guess you could call it. As Recruiter of the Guard is cleared, damage is pushed through, Kaider's life total slowly chipping away. One of these goblins trading with the Narcomoeba, 2 damage coming across. Kaider facing down. Actual lethal next turn. We'll see if Heather pulls the trigger and tosses that Goblin Chain Whirler out there. Or if she'll just play it a little bit more conservatively. Boy, it's one of those situations where it's tough to imagine how your opponent could conceivably win. And in those situations, sometimes it's just correct to try and imagine, figure out what possible outs they could have, and just make sure that they're literally impossible. There are certainly situations where you might be 95% to win a game, or even 99%, and you can make it 100% by playing properly. And sometimes you just feel like it doesn't matter, and you might give your opponent just that glimmer of hope, and they can get there. And Brainstorm's often part of that. I'm not going to lie. There's been plenty of situations where I've been needing to literally draw a brainstorm and brainstorm into the pure nuts and still get there. If you're looking for my advice, the proper way to do that is to identify your outs ahead of time and then say, I need to draw Brainstorm, and then flip it face up on the table and then say what you need to brainstorm into, and then also do that. It is a little bit of magic. Certainly makes good for the people that are watching the match. And now Batterskull has joined the equation for Kiter. I don't know if that's going to be enough. He doesn't have access to it quite yet. We've got the Goblin Chain Whirler coming down end of turn, ticking up to 4. And Sling-Gang Lieutenant just closes the door on this, so a combat step not even necessary. And just an overwhelming victory there in game number 1 from Heather. Batterskull, a little glimmer of hope, promptly snuffed out by that Sling-Gang Lieutenant and his gleeful sacking of all of those goblins, just tossing them all in the trash just to drain one. Absolutely where he wants to be, just sending gobos flying through the air. Nothing makes him happier than closing out a game. And, he's a little darker than most goblins. He's a little black heart, but he does get some joy out of seeing those little green compadres flying through the air. And requires less mana to do it. That's really the main thing. I mean, Sling-Gang Lieutenant is a lower to the ground siege gang commander in many ways, but the most important one is not needing to spend the mana to sacrifice the goblins. Like, you get one fewer goblin, he costs 1 less mana, he's a smaller body. It's all easily worth it. Like, not close. I mean, that in the life game too, like, that's very much a thing. I've had plenty of times where I've witnessed Storm matchups where Goblins is playing against Storms, usually an auto-win matchup, and if things have kind of gone sideways a little bit and a Sling Gang gets down, the Storm player actually can't lethally combo out sometimes, where it's like, I could do 22, 24 damage, but he's got like 5 goblins in play. Like, I could literally dump all of my resources and leave them at 1 and gain a ton of life. And make them sack all their goblins, but like, who's more likely to win from that board state? And sometimes you just have to actually do that. Not where you want to be, but I mean, Goblins, a much trickier deck with the recent printings. A deck that started out as a joke initially has really evolved. I mean, Goblins used to be a punchline, and in Onslaught, they supercharged them, and they really haven't looked back since. I mean, they are a premier tribe, or a creature class, as it were. And now we've got a Wasteland taking out the Tropical Island, Aethervile joining in to help out Goblin Lackey. Underground Sea for Kiter. Twiddles for a Brainstorm. He's going to fire it off now. Just realized, I think that's the Grimlock playmat from HasCon. Is it? I don't know that I've actually seen one of those. I was at the HasCon where they released. They actually like sold them all to like one dude. It was ridiculous. Everything else was like limited to 1 per. And the guy was just like, I'll take them all. I got there too late. Could have made a lot of money at that show. I was otherwise indisposed. Cavern of Souls. Not super helpful for Kiter. Not exactly the type of land you want. Versus Goblins, vulnerable to Wasteland. They weren't going to counter anything anyways. But it can do mana fixing to a degree. I mean, there are times where Cavern of Souls is going to give you either the double white you need for something like a Grand Abolisher, or, really just serve as your off-color mana. Umezawa's Jite Hell of a card versus Goblins. But Goblins does have a lot of answers to artifacts as well. Now, I believe this Goblin Lackey is being held off. Is that a Narcomoeba? It is being held off by a Narcomoeba. Amazing. Cabal Therapy being sent Heather's way. She's got a Violet too that she can respond with. We'll see if any Munitions Expert or Goblin Crater Maker are put in response. She is thinking this one through. Ooh, spicy. Pyrokinesis, Goblin Matron, Goblin Chieftain, or Goblin War Chief. So it whiffs. Vial ticks up again. And we've got 3 mana into Matron. Things about to get real here. Grabbing a Goblin Chain Whirler. It's like a metagame solving card. Apparently, when you've got Cephalid Breakfast running around everywhere, this guy does heavy lifting. Why screw around with a Munitions Expert when you only need to do 1 damage anyways? Plus, it pings the player, and it's a huge 3/3 body after. I mean, that is doing heavy, heavy lifting versus Umezawa's Jite. Goblin Lackey puts in a Goblin Ringleader, reloading Heather, and making things look very grim here for Kiter. Breakfast, an incredibly fast deck, feeling super slow here in comparison to Goblins. I mean, when you look at these board presences, Goblins just feels so far ahead. Ponder, digs. Now keep in mind, there's still, I believe, a Pyrokinesis in Heather's hand, so this is some uphill battling here for Kiter. Can he do it? Can he find both the combo and the counter spell? A Living Wish. Grabbing Plague Engineer. Perhaps he won't need it. This will show up in what? Kill... Well, that would only kill like 2 Goblins. Chieftain. Sling Gang. Kaboom. This is absolutely lethal. As the Goblin War Chief enables hasty attacks and Sling Gang Lieutenant finishes things off in a hurry as Heather takes that one down to finish our FNM webcam series. As you can see, it's a lot of fun. I hope that you're able to join us. You can check out the link in the description below, and you could find yourself on camera too. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.